Welcome back to the All of You podcast. All right, so I have some thoughts for today. Are you ready for them?
Yeah, hit me with it.
All right, so I was thinking this is a podcast that we talk about personal growth. It's kind of in that category, I would say. And you can't grow without change. So I thought, let's talk about change today.
Obama 2008 throwback?
Yeah, this is actually the beginning of my campaign.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Are you ready to be the first man?
I can change. I spent a whole, this is a segue, sorry. I spent a whole day one time looking for a song that was stuck in my head that said, I can change, because I was going to send it to you. I found it. I was so excited, and then it was, I can't change. And I was like, well, that doesn't work.
Well, I kind of have two things I want to call out really fast.
Okay.
The first one is you were trying to find a song called I Can Change to send to me, which is kind of funny, whatever we were going through at that time.
Yeah.
You must have been in the doghouse of some sorts. So that's funny.
Yeah.
But
No,
then-
I wasn't in the dog. You were struggling with change.
Oh.
So I was trying to, I thought it'd be
was
like a good,
me?
I was trying to be like, you're like, you know how like people have like pump music, like that they like go out to like do
like
their show.
my walkout song
Yeah,
was going to be
you're-
I Can Change.
Yeah, because you were trying, you were trying to change so much, but you were really struggling with it.
Yeah, I was.
So
Well, I guess that fits more than you being in the doghouse trying to change your way out of it.
when I'm in the doghouse, I sap. I like, or not
What
sap.
is sap?
This is not the right word. I sulk. I sulk and I apologize.
You
and-
actually are a good apologizer. I
Yeah,
will
there's
say.
when I'm in the
Yeah.
doghouse, there's no way to. I don't fight out. I tuck my tail between my legs, and
That is actually really true because it gets you out a lot faster.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a good strategy.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just ownership.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you
anyway.
go hard in the ownership paint. It typically works on me pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, which as it should.
Yeah,
Good
it's the right
own
thing to
your-
do. It's
yeah,
the right
It's
move.
the right move. Yeah. I'm glad we cleared that up. But that brings me to my next question. Do you think Macklemore is right or wrong? Can we change? Or can we not change?
I think this song's talking about something else. The song is actually, when I went back and listened to it, it's about something totally different. So
Right.
I don't want to go
think-
there,
Yeah,
but
I think we let Macklemore
but
exit
Macklemore's
the conversation.
yeah, he's changed. He's
Massively.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
I'm
he's a
really proud of
different-
him actually.
so proud. He's one of the people I would love to interview. Like
yeah.
in my life, I would love to
yeah.
interview him.
I want to
He's a
manifest that for sure.
He's done good.
I agree with that, but I know that if I don't reel you in right now, you're going to start confessing your love for Macklemore the
45
next
minutes
few
on
minutes.
Macklemore?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring us back in. Macklemore aside, do you believe that a person can change?
100%.
And to what degree do you believe they can change?
Almost anything. There's very few things you can't change without, like, if you really it's up to you if you want to or not. If you don't want to change, you won't change, and you shouldn't. If you don't change against your own will. If you want to change something about yourself, you absolutely can. Did you have some things that you were like thinking of when you were talking about your campaign for?
I was gonna take that a jokey route, but I'm gonna reel us in and say I was reflecting back on this past year, and I realized I have gone through some of the most change I have experienced in my whole life, all in 1 year. I moved in with you and the girls. Massive change.
Took on
Yeah.
stepmom role.
Yeah, to go from living solo to a family. Huge change. Took on a stepmom role. We got engaged. I quit my job. Basically quit a 10-year career. I
You might like.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Might go back.
but don't necessarily want to at this time.
Yeah. Embrace that unknown. Launched an Airbnb. Launched a podcast. It's been a year.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot for me in 1 year. And some people might hear that and go, like, that's not that much. For me personally, that's monumental.
I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, watching your life, that's like the results, kind of. But the bigger change was actually within you to be able to do all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much that like that happened and you did it. It's that you adapted to it well, and you adapted because you could do all those things and not change that much as a human, and your life looks different on the outside, but internally you've changed so much to be able to do it well and be content with all of it.
I think that's really fair to say. The work was done before the changes were made. For each of those decisions.
Yeah.
Like, easiest example of that would be in walking away from my job. I had been doing work for over a year before that on myself, building my confidence, building my self-worth. And none of it was like gaining anything new. It was just believing in what was already there. And I worked past so many insecurities and self-doubts, negative self-talk, that and full disclosure, the reason I walked away was a really terrible, toxic work environment, I would say.
It was affecting your mental health pretty bad.
Oh, massively. Yeah. And I had done so much work on myself that I believed in myself enough to go, I can walk in, put in my 2 weeks notice, and be 100% okay. I can find a new job. I can get down and dirty, hustle, find ways to make money. I can bet on myself and know I can easily make it through this storm. And I had never felt that way previously. I was always clinging to my job for security, my paycheck for security. Money was security for me. And I finally had actually done the work to get to a place to go, I am the security I need. Whatever life hands me, I've got it within myself to figure it out. And I don't have to tolerate mistreatment. I can go figure it out on my own.
You became more secure.
Yeah. But that was all the work before. But I want to bring it back into change, because I still think that's relevant. It was still terrifying, even having done all that work, because change is scary. The unknown is scary. You don't know what's on the other side, and it doesn't matter what that change is. You're breaking the pattern that you've been in for years and doing something completely different, and you don't know what's going to be on the other side of that.
It's the known versus the unknown.
Yep.
And the unknown is always terrifying. And it's not always better.
No, the grass isn't always greener.
No.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's no way to know.
Yeah. But sometimes we hold ourselves back by overthinking it, or not being willing to take the jump to do something. Like for us, I think, our relationship is kind of that. I was terrified of the girls falling in love with you, introducing you. I was terrified of introducing you to them. And what if they fall in love with you and it doesn't work out? And then in kind of like worrying about that so much, I almost caused that to happen.
Yeah, it could have been a
So
self-fulfilling prophecy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, for you, there was so many fears. Like, what was so scary for you on that side?
In
Particularly
meeting the girls.
with dating me and taking on that role of, you know, their stepmom.
Oh my goodness, where does that laundry list start? Like,
There's a lot. Yeah,
I
but just
mean,
like generally, like what was so scary for you in that?
um, I knew to do it, I needed to open my heart to them completely, but you also don't know. I didn't know if it was going to work out. I didn't know if I feared, are they going to like me? Am I going to be able to connect with them? Will they want me in their life? How do you parent? What the heck? Like, I've been single for all these years. Like, I don't know anything about raising children. Like, that's a lot to take on. There's a co-parenting relationship. What is that going to look like? There's so many more unknowns when it comes to dating someone with children.
Yeah. And for our situation, like the girls are with us half the time, 50-50, and then they're with their mom the other half. And so it's a very involved co-parenting relationship. And so there's, you know, everybody has their own struggle in that if they are step parents or looking at that situation. But there's so much fear that can be in the unknown of that. And as you travel through it and start to take on pieces of it, you learn more about it, right? So like you know, there's no way you could have known back then what you know now.
Never. No. But ultimately, I knew I would regret it if I didn't take the leap more than if I did. But it was really scary. I think a lot of it boils down to I had to sit with some really uncomfortable feelings and weigh out, okay, are these feelings telling me they're so uncomfortable? Are they telling me to run? Or they're uncomfortable because this is new and this is scary and it's hard to do things that are new and scary, but I should do it anyways. So I had to sit with those feelings and go, all right, what are they telling me? What's the right choice? And ultimately, I made the right decision in moving forward with that, but hard.
Yeah.
At the same time. Yeah.
Super
I think,
challenging.
well, I just didn't take it lightly. I think also I had and this is kind of a total side tangent to the topic of today, but it was a heavy responsibility for me that I'm not going to walk into their lives with the intent of like dipping my toe in the water to see if I'm interested or not because of the impact that would have on them. So I had to be really intentional about how close only getting close to them if I know that this is going to be a forever thing because of the impact it would have on them and having that respect for them. So there's a lot more I could share on that. I could do a whole episode on.
Well, maybe we should.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big one. I mean, I think a lot of people have that same feeling. It's not, you know, it's not only relatable to people who have kids or who are dating somebody with kids, but which is really common, but I think it's relatable to, you know, anything. When you know, having gone through a divorce, I no longer talk to a lot of people that I once was close with. And that's really challenging and hard, and it's part of it. It's just part of it. It's also okay. That's hard. It's hard to accept that, but it is okay. It's okay for them and it's okay for me, and there can be mutual respect and love and everything. Your heart can be in the right place, and it's okay that there's distance, you know, but like, you know, for you it was like you have to kind of risk losing 3 people instead of losing just one. Your getting really close and thinking of becoming their stepmom, if anything was to have happened, it's a big loss for you and for them. So it's scary.
Super. Yeah.
So how'd you do it?
Accept that it's scary. Accept that it's hard. Accept that it's not, I don't want to say not normal, but that it's different than what society's expectations are, I would say. And accept that it's risky. Sit with all of that. Feel all of that. And then I had to trust myself that I was making the right decision. Know that I could feel all those feelings and the weight of them and still be okay.
Yeah. And what were some of the biggest changes that you feel like you even had to make to make that work for your life? Like, what was when you think about, change as part of it? Because I don't think everyone thinks of it like change. They're like, oh, cool. Say somebody's single and they end up, meeting somebody and they're excited about that partnership. They may fully not realize that in the gain of this new partnership and the gain of this human that now they want to hang out with all the time, there's going to be a trade-off and a letting go.
Yeah, I fought that until it kind of hit me that I wasn't managing any of it well. And so in order to really take on this life with you and the girls, which is what I wanted, I had to let go, and not entirely of relationships, but my time with friends just I wasn't available in the ways that I used to be. I lived an hour away and was dating a man with 2 kids. And I don't say that to say, like, if you're in a relationship, you should bail on all of your friends. That's not the message. The message is I couldn't hold on to everything because time just truly didn't allow for that. And so I had to let go of really my identity of being the friend that was always down, being the one, if you called me, I'd show up right away. I couldn't anymore. I'm an hour away. Busy life with you and the kids, and there was kind of grief in that.
Of course.
And a really big struggle of acceptance of it. And that was hard change for me.
Well, yeah, and then what happens sometimes too is like you agree to a standard with somebody and then they struggle with it. They might not be happy in it, because they're changing. And so like you were changing and you weren't unhappy, but you were struggling with your identity and your like.
Yeah, well, I would actually say the pattern of my life and who I was for all those years was changed. And that is physically uncomfortable. Like, it is a feeling in my body of, oh, this is not normal. This is not my normal. And it was so uncomfortable. I oftentimes would wonder, am I making the wrong choice? Because it was such a pattern break for me of I've always done things this way. I've always been this person. I've always been the single friend who's always down and is always there. And I can't be her and be the devoted girlfriend and potential stepmom at the same time because my capacity doesn't allow. So making that shift is an identity shift. And that was physically uncomfortable for me, where I would have to sit and be with that feeling of like, I'm not who I used to be. Is that okay? It's when you're changing that much. Yes. Oh, you're saying it is okay?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. It was actually the most necessary thing.
Well, I think I want to say that to anyone. Like, I mean, that's a common thing that when in the midst of change, it's important. Maybe we sit on this topic for a second. Anxiety, like when
Yep.
you are in the midst of change or changing your identity or chasing a goal that's scary for you, there's going to be some anxiety, most likely in it, and it's going to be, you know, it's uncomfortable feelings, and your body is uncomfortable. It's scared that on one hand you might be leaving your parts of your old identity behind. It's also scared if you're going to be happy and fulfilled in the new identity. So there's a lot of fear, and that creates an anxiety in your body that
100%.
is with any change, any new venture, and then letting go of the old. I think the key is being aware of all of it, understanding that this is what's happening, and I still want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Or not. Like, no one, there should never be somebody else controlling you or pushing you to do something that you don't want to do. That's going to create even more anxiety. So I never wanted to be the one like pushing you to join me in this life. I wanted you to come willingly. And the only way that I would know if you want to is if that was how your action showed up. So your action showed it, but you had some anxiety. And I couldn't, if I fought your anxiety or I was mad at your anxiety, it would just make it worse. So I had to kind of understand that you were going through an identity shift and a change, and it's really hard.
Yeah, it's super uncomfortable, highly anxiety inducing. But I think the lesson there is not in it's uncomfortable to become a dad's girlfriend and pursue that life. The lesson there is anytime you want to make a big change in your life, and especially an identity shifting change, it's going to come with discomfort, anxiety, fear, all of these really heavy feelings to sit with. And sometimes they're going to be so overwhelming that you're going to go, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this is right for me. And for me, knowing that that's what was happening in my body was super helpful, because I could say, I'm really anxious and I am feeling so uncomfortable right now. Why is that?
Yeah, it's kind of like the first day at a new job. Like that's anxiety. It's anxious feelings. You have fear, and your body is kind of signaling that fight or flight or freeze or alarm system going, this is uncomfortable. Like, do I really want this? Do I really want to be here? None of these people know me. And then
I've never done this before. Can I do this? Are they going to like me? Did I oversell myself in the interview? What if I fail? You're going to have all those feelings.
Yep.
And accepting that and going, yep, I'm going to feel that. But I know my truth.
Yeah.
And my truth is whatever your truth is, whether it's I am enough, this is what I want, I am qualified for this job, I can do this, they hired me for a reason, the reason is because I can kick ass at this. You got to hold on to that truth and tell yourself what the reality is. That's what I had to do, is in those moments where I'm parenting and I'm like, am I qualified for this? Like, what am I doing here? I've never done this before. Am I doing this right? And I have all these like doubts and fears and insecurities. I just have to go, it's okay. Like, you don't know what you're doing because you've never done this before. You're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's okay. And quiet the voices with truth. Like, the negative talk in your head is just
reality checks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, your mind can really spin in those situations. It can be called imposter syndrome. Like, all these diagnoses sometimes can be dangerous for us. Like, now I have anxiety. Like, it's like, okay, everybody has anxiety. You might have it more than others. I don't know. I don't know your experience and what's going on with you. But to just diagnose yourself now that, and then you feel lesser than, or you feel different, outcasted in some way is just going to make the problem worse. So everyone deals with imposter syndrome. No one goes to a new workplace as the CEO, as the what, all the way down to whatever position, and enters a new workplace where they don't know anyone and doesn't have some form of imposter syndrome. The reason you have imposter syndrome is because you're new. You haven't done anything yet. They don't care what you did before. You have to prove to them that you should be there, and you have to build a relationship with them, and that you're jumping into a cold pool. It's uncomfortable. It's going to take a minute for you to warm up and get like used to the temperature.
Yeah, but if you can know that going in, know that you're going to face all those uncomfortable feelings, for me, it's so helpful because then when they come up and I feel them, I go, up, there it is. That's what that is. I was expecting you to show up. But guess what? The reality is, reality check. I got this. I'm enough. I'm going to figure it out. I believe in myself. I am qualified.
Yep. Yeah, and giving into those difficult feelings of anxiety, or I should say fighting those feelings of anxiety, just makes the problem way worse. You jump in the pool and then you're screaming and you're like squirming and stuff. It's just going to make it worse. Knowing it's going to get better and easier as you go is every day is going to get a little easier as you hang out in the break room and you get to know the people or whatever. It's just going to, over time, it will get easier. And that's with any type of change.
Yeah. Well, as your old patterns, you let go of your old patterns and you accept and embrace and build your new pattern that becomes your new normal, and you begin to take on that identity. So now I can't imagine my life without you and the girls. That isn't even a thought in my head that could be. But at the time I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, this is wild and this is so out of my comfort zone. But you do it and you do it and you do it. And all of a sudden, it's who you are.
Yeah.
So if you can embrace the change or embrace the discomfort of change and all those big, awful, scary feelings and continue anyways, you can change anything you want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can design your life.
You can design your life.
Yep. You just got to figure out the roadmap of where you want to go, and then be okay with the difficulty and go and if you have the roadmap and you go, this is at this point, making this leap is going to be so uncomfortable. When I went from manager to director, it was uncomfortable in the same workplace with the same people. I a lot of times in my career, I've gone from being peers with people to then being a manager of those people. And that's a dynamic shift that's very difficult. And anyone that's done that knows, like, you have to change the dynamic now of that relationship. And it's hard.
Yeah. And I agree that it is always going to be tough. But I actually am learning that the more I embrace change, the less tough it is. Because I'm learning that I'm now building my identity and actually believing that I am a person who can change, wants to change, is capable of it, and is okay. I'm learning that it's okay to fail, even if I do try to make a change and things don't work out. And so the more I'm doing it, the easier it gets. Because I go, yeah, I've made changes before. I can make this one. So it's learning, like leaning into it.
That was one of the most like funny things to me about you, was that you didn't know you could, like, you had a big resistance to change.
Oh, massive. I probably should have opened with that, because for me to say that is actually a big deal. I hated change when you met me.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, having this identity in being the friend that's always there and always available and the fun one, like I put a lot of stock in that. I almost had this like core belief in me that like that's
Would you say it was part of your ego narrative?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was very proud of that. And so to not have that identity felt like why am I letting go of this good thing? This is one of the best parts about me. I'm letting go of that. Like I don't how could that be a good thing?
Yeah.
And that was a really hard one to face.
I identify with that. It's really difficult to. Well, I've formed many narratives in my brain and tied them to my ego. All these pseudo identity things, I think, like you can put a lot of stock in them if you want to, but they can be harmful if you want other things that conflict with them. And I don't know, you have to make a choice between the things that you want in life. It's all trade-offs. And so knowing your values and what's actually most important to you, a lot of the things that were leading to our arguments or I was holding on to that was preventing our relationship to really blossom were things that aren't important at all now to me.
Letting go is hard.
Yeah. Like you used to know the Coachella lineup every year as soon as it came out. And
I know I was looking at it and I was like, I don't know most of the names on this. And I had a little moment where I was like, is this concerning? Who am I anymore? And then I went, yeah, I actually don't care who's headlining Coachella. I really don't.
well, you let go.
Yeah, I let go of it. Which, to be fair, if the opportunity came up and someone was like, you guys want some free tickets to Coachella? We'd go and have a great time. But I don't, maybe we wouldn't.
I don't know. It would be tricky. The last festival we went to, it's a little tough to come home from a 3-day festival and tired to your 2 daughters who are 7 and 9 at the time and be like,
well, yeah, and I think that's where the values conversation comes in is like, is going to Coachella worth showing up poorly for your kids when you get home?
And if it
you
is
have to
to
kind
you,
of wager that.
Godspeed, like no judgment at all.
Totally.
Like, I don't care if somebody goes to Coachella or not go. Like that's not the point. The point is honoring your own values and trying to design your life in a way that you can get to where you want to go.
Mm.
And if you keep, the best analogy I can kind of come up with in my head is, say you're trying to win this race and there's a bunch of stands handing out Gatorade, but there's also stands handing out water, and you really want the Gatorade. But there's a line at the Gatorade stand. So you are willing to wait in line at the Gatorade stand because you want Gatorade, but you also want to win the race. And so you could just have water and you might win, or you could end up waiting in line for Gatorade and then you lose the race. Like, it's just we tend in dating, especially, I think this is so apparent in dating relationships or marriages, or we stand in line at we pick a fight over the Gatorade and we lose the race.
Yeah.
You lose the relationship. You get a divorce, which takes you back. Now you got to run 17 marathons just to get back to where you were. The decisions that we make as humans don't always align with our future goals. The people that succeed the most are able to keep their eyes on the bigger prize and wait it out or adjust their expectations. Like, maybe I don't care about being first. I can afford to wait in line and get some Gatorade and I'll come in 5th. Okay, cool. That's what you want. Go for it. But, just stay true to yourself and your own values. And don't sell yourself short.
Yeah. The last thing I have on change is do it. Lean into the discomfort. It's only uncomfortable for a little while, and it's always worth it.
Yeah. It is hard though. There's grief involved.
Yeah. Choose your hard.
Mm-hmm.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.